people. It's like, my big thing is about proximity.
Yeah.
Is when you want to learn something, you get in proximity to the people that are doing it.
Gotcha.
And that's what it was like in LA. Everybody was like boom, 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 boom. We just about, we shot commercials, we shot music videos. We did stuff that we at the time we didn't even know how to do. But if
Wow.
you're willing to learn and just do it, there are people out there that are like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of had a let's do it mentality. Let's make
Got
it
it.
happen.
Got it.
And so it's infectious. So it makes it a lot easier to do that. It's hard to be lazy in LA
Ha ha. I
unless you're
heard that.
rich.
Right. Right. So it's almost like if you sit in
It's
if
hard to be late because there's so much going on.
right. It's just almost like if you sit in a barbershop long enough, you're bound to get a haircut, right?
You're good. Yeah, it's like that. And there's a lot of young energy. I mean, what's happening because LA is a place where people are trying to stay fit. They they're about their body, they're about their mind, they're about just getting it. So they're about I'm gonna be realistic. They're about their looks. And
Sure.
looks is everything. So they're
Sure.
always out there.
It's always a
So
look.
everybody has that kind of young mentality.
Yep. Gotcha.
So they're hustling. It's a little different in New York. New York is like that, but in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
New York has a different hustle. It's a hustle city, but it's really about the hustle.
Right.
LA is kind of about it's the hustle, but the look and who you know. It's
I
a little bit
see.
like that.
I
So a
see.
little bit different in LA.
Like
So
in New
everybody's
York, it's
trying to
more
get to know people and
grind,
trying to figure
right?
out who's doing what.
More grind in the New York world
Yeah,
as
New
more
York's a
look.
grind.
Okay, in L.A. Got it.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away from LA. There's a grind there, but
Yeah.
it's a different grind. It's
Okay.
more, it's a but New York is definitely about it's about the mainly the hustle. It's about
Mm-hmm.
how much you hustle, who you hustle with. It's about the work.
Right.
LA, you can get away with more because you have looks.
Right. I got you. I
You know what
got
I
you.
mean?
Yeah, I got you. So, were you always did you always have a talent when you first recognized that you had a talent and a gift, man, for media and music? Was it at an early age?
Well, yeah, it was early age because I didn't, I never took piano lesson in my life. I taught myself how to play. I
Wow.
was writing songs when I was 6, 7 years old.
Wow.
I remember starting with I had this little organ in my room,
Right.
and I would just play with three fingers, and I would hear things, and all of a sudden I'm writing things because I had an ear for it, and so all of a
Right.
sudden I could hear stuff put it together, and I just started writing songs. I was doing this thing, and I used to drive my sister crazy. She can't stand the sound of organ to this day
To
because I
this
used to play it
day.
all the time. It drive her nuts. It drive her nuts. But but we, so I gradually I just started picking up stuff, and I would pick up and I would just learn how to do it because I liked it. Sometimes it's just one of those things that you like, and I never took a lesson. I just taught myself how to play.
Right.
Next thing I'm doing it all the time. I was playing, and I would get in a band. Say, hey, can you play keyboards in a band? I started doing that when I did a stint in the Navy, and I was playing. We had a band on the ship, man. We put together. I played keyboards. And we used to do music on the ship. So
What?
I just, it was
Nice.
just something I did. People would, hey, can you do this? And I would teach myself how to do it. There are a lot better keyboard players than me, but
Okay.
I just taught myself how to do what I needed to do to put it down. And once you start getting recording stuff, then you don't have to be a really serious player as
Sure.
long as you know how to put the chords down and map it out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So take us back a little bit, man. Where were you born and raised in Texas?
Yeah, I was actually born and raised in Texas. It's kind of funny. I didn't know I'd come back here, but I was actually born a military brat.
Okay.
I was
Oh, okay.
born in Fort Hood, Texas. So my dad was in the military, but my parents divorced
Which
when I was
branch?
young. He was in the army.
Shout out to the army.
The army. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Nice.
But I'm a Navy man myself. I
Oh,
used to
you're
work on
Navy
Texas
man.
Navy.
Actually, my,
Yeah.
my grandfather, he was in the Navy, and my brother right now, he is a. I keep saying Master Chief. I'm gonna get it right. He'll kill me if I don't
In the
say it right.
Navy.
If you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, coach, author, speaker, consultant, and you want to start your own podcast to build your authority, build more know, like, and trust, connect with new clients, attract new leads, I'm excited to invite you to my free webinar, Podcasting with Power, where I'll share the exact strategy that I've perfected over the past decade to make podcasting simple and easy as 1, 2, 3. This webinar is designed to help you go from a podcast idea to help you to start your podcast without the stress of equipment and technical challenges. And you'll also learn how to share your story, engage with your audience, and attract your ideal client all through your own podcasting platform. Or go to podcastingwithpower.com and get registered, and we'll see you in our free webinar. Right. He's in the
Navy.
Navy.
Yeah, that's Master Chief is right.
Master Chief. Okay, yeah, he's a Master Chief in the Navy. He's been there. I guess it's about 16 years right now.
Yeah,
He's
that's
based
about
in
right.
Jacksonville, Florida. So yeah, shout out.
That's where I was.
Is that right? You was there?
Yeah, I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yep,
Wow,
that's how I first got to Florida. When I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was at NES Cecil Field that they closed now, but that he's probably at NES Jacksonville.
okay.
NES Jax.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that area.
Oh, okay, okay. So what were some of the challenges that you had? Did you want to go to the Navy, or did something
You know
force
what?
you to go to the
Say, let me,
Navy?
no, what you know what happened? I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't
Okay,
really. When I got out of high school, I wasn't ready to go to college. I was kind of like I was an average student, but I didn't know what I wanted
I
to do.
see.
And inside of me, I wanted to do music, but I didn't know how, and
Mm.
so I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was just kind of like floating. I said, you know what? Go into the military until you figure it out.
There you
So
go.
that's why
Yeah.
I didn't retire from the military. I just wanted to go in there, kind of travel the world. The Navy's kind of a place where you can kind of travel the world.
Travel
So
the
I've been,
world.
I've been all over Europe and
Really?
I saw, yeah, so I've, France, Italy, Spain, all that kind
Sure.
of. So I did that and so when I got out, my sister was living in LA.
Okay.
And I lived there as a kid, but but I didn't know much about it. So I moved
Okay.
back there, and it was just one of those things where, like you said, when you're a certain age, you get in that buzz. I was
Yeah.
20. I got out of the Navy when I was 21,
Gotcha.
and so
Oh
so you get
yeah,
that
that's
little
the age
buzz
right
going.
there.
Yeah, I was in the clubs. I
Yeah.
used to hang out at one of Prince's clubs out there in LA, and
Mm-hmm.
you just start meeting people. You
Yeah.
just start meet people. You start doing stuff. I meet singers, meet this, and you start. Next thing you know, you start collaborating
Yeah.
and you're doing stuff, and it's all about getting the latest gear. You're trying to figure out, can I get this? I think it was
Yeah.
the Korg M1. Everybody
Oh
wanted.
yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
you
He was
know.
doing something with the
Yeah,
M1 and the
yeah,
Roland
yeah,
JV
man.
1080.
Yeah. The JVT, yes.
Remember
Yes,
that?
Roland was like what Babyface was. All them keys were on. When you hear all Babyface's music back
The
then,
same
that was the Roland.
keys. That was the Roland.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. It
Yep.
made you want to
It
go
was.
get the
It was.
Roland, right? It made you actually want to go
Yep.
get the
Yep.
Roland. That's all
Yes, it
babyface
was.
stuff.
It was. And
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
man. I find now it's like I remember wanting all the gear. Now you can recreate that gear with software.
Right, right. Oh, it's
I've
true.
got like tons. I used to. I remember
It's blowing me
dying to buy
away,
these
man.
keyboards. I
It's
get that sound all day.
my God. It's blowing. Let me tell you something. My first beat machine was very first beat machine it was a Roland. It was a Roland. No, it was the Boss Dr. Rhythm. It was a Boss
Oh
Dr.
yeah.
Rhythm.
Oh,
Remember that one? And then I graduated from that, and the album that we did, we had the Yamaha TX16W. That was that one with the little
yeah.
with
Oh yeah.
it kind of looked like a 1080. It kind of looked like a 1080, with the module. And then I got
Yeah.
I got an Akai MPC60, and I save up. I split it with my friend, my good friend. We split it when we first bought it. But the funny thing is, 30 years later now, I go on the App Store, and there's a Akai MPC60 app.
Ah,
I
every
couldn't
rolling
believe it.
sound I wanted back there. I have this thing. It's all the rolling keyboards.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them in one app. I'm like, what?
Oh man.
I used to save up money to get those things.
Oh
I'm
my
like, I
God.
just to get a keyboard. Now I can just hit a button. I get all the sounds.
All the sounds that you need. You're not even going to use all those sounds. So it's just
Yeah.
amazing how
Yes.
technology has
Yes.
trained. And it's funny to me, like a lot of the folks that are in here. I got a couple guys from England that posted on the other day that they were into music, and they were like, talk a little bit more about music, because we're into music, but they are interested in hearing the stories like we're sharing, like what we had to go
All right.
through. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Because they
yeah.
just push a button right now. They open their laptop, push a button. Then nobody's hauling records in. Nobody's how all this equipment. As a matter of fact, I saw on Facebook the other day that they have these they always advertising these studio desks, and they make it look so
Yeah. Oh yeah.
perfect. It's like it's so perfect. And so
Yep.
I looked at it, I was like, man. But I looked at it like, yeah, I could get that now, but I don't need that. I got everything's in my freaking laptop. I
That's the same thing. I think I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, I want this,
wow.
but it's almost like where we were when we were
Well,
younger.
we're
Like, I want that. I
exactly.
want that. I'm
That's
like, wait a
right.
minute. I got all this stuff. I don't need that.
I don't even need it. I don't even need it. And here's the thing: it's cheap. Typically, something like that would cost about $4 or $5 grand. They got to never make it cheaper now because they know ain't nobody going to really, really get it. It's just so crazy,
Yeah.
man. So
It is. It
it's
is.
interesting.
Hmm? What was that?
it's just so interesting how things have changed, man. So
Yeah.
now let me ask you this: who'd you look up to when you were growing up, man?
Man, I listened to everything when I was growing up. I mean, I'm a pretty well-rounded. Listen, I listen. 'Cause my mom used to sing opera,
Okay, there you go.
so
There you
I
go.
listen to everything. I mean, I listened to stuff back with the Sugar Hill Gang back in the
Oh
day,
yeah,
and,
absolutely,
and
yeah.
and of course Prince, and of
Yep.
course you grew up with the Jacksons, and even the Osmonds. I remember on Saturday night it
Oh
was like the
yeah, man.
Osmond
The
and
Osmonds.
then the cartoons was Jackson Five
They
and the
don't know
Osmonds.
about the cartoons.
You know,
Efton, why you gonna do that to me?
yeah.
They don't know about the cartoons,
Yeah, I
dude.
gotta bring y'all up to speed, bro. Y'all, see, I remember when they used to be able to get the Jackson 5 records on the back of the cereal
That's
box.
right. I remember that. I remember that too, man. They don't know nothing about that, man.
Yeah.
That this was
Uh,
this was what they call with my old hero when they had the old Bruce Jenner on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We won't go into
We
that one,
won't
but
go
I
there
know.
right there. Right? We can leave that right there. but so you
Yeah, but
like
man, it was. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
so you really like that kind of music. So you were kind of more well rounded in as far
Yeah,
as
I
like
listen to jazz and
okay
everything. I listen to a lot of stuff. You know, matter of fact, when I formed my band, by the way, we had formed the band
okay
because when we were out there trying to produce people, and this is one thing I'd like your audience to understand. See, there's a lot of people that want to get into the business, but they don't understand that you have to be doing business. They look at the glamour of
yeah
it, and they're looking at what they see people doing. It's 90% work. It's 10% glamour.
mm.
You got to put in the work, and so we meet a lot of people that we try to produce, and they didn't have their head right. And so
Ah
my boy, when I was producing with, who actually lives in Dallas now, shout out to Joel Washington.
okay
Um, he was my partner in business and music, and so we decided one day we just want to try. We said, let's do this.
right
Let's put a group out.
right
Let's ourselves.
right
We're gonna do it ourselves. We're gonna put a group out, and just so we can show people how it's done.
it's done
And
yeah
then we're doing it for fun. We're doing
for
it for
sure
fun.
right
But our very first show, we opened up for Gerald Albright in front of 2,000 people. Our
Ooh, after making the
very
decision to
first
do it on
gig.
your own, my goodness, your first gig.
Very first
That's
gig.
huge,
I
dude.
mean, it was like, and
That's huge.
it was like, it was just timing, being in the right place at the right time. And I remember walking down the street when I was in LA. I was a place called Westwood. I
Sure.
was walking down the street, and this guy stops me. Now I did this show at probably about an hour away
Wow.
from where I was, from there where we were. And this guy stopped me on the street. He said, "Man, you're in that group. You're that group that opened up for Gerald Albright on the street." And I was just like,
Look at that.
"You were down there?"
That
I was like,
messed
"I
you
said,
up.
yeah,
I
and
know that messed
yes,
you up, dude.
dude." And what it does is, man, you start to see how easy fame can go to your
Yeah,
head.
man.
You start
Yeah.
when people start coming at you, and you imagine that happening, hundreds and thousands of times
Mm.
all the time
Yeah, man.
happening to you. And
That has to
one of
do
the
something
reasons, yeah,
mentally to you too, man. If it's too much, because you
yes,
can't
it,
handle that. Like average
yep, yep,
fame. Jay Z used to say, "Fame is the worst thing known to man. It's stronger than heroin." That's the truth, man.
yep,
It's like that fame, and like all. I always used to say like these. When you get into the music industry, all that you just want to be popular. You have no idea that 90% of it is work. And now you're shocked when they are
yes,
yelling at you when you don't make deadlines. You're upset
yes,
because they're telling you that you don't sound right and you're getting too fat. They are once you're in the industry, right? You
yep,
pretty much are their product, right?
proper.
See, that's it, man.
But
Wow.
let me tell you audience this, man. It's like this. Don't ever go into the entertainment business for popularity.
Mm,
Don't do it.
it's good.
Don't do it.
It's
Don't
good.
do it. The entertainment business, you'll see the best of the best, and even people like even like in the movie business, you see people like Denzel, and you'll see people and you'll see how he understands why you see people who kill themselves
Yeah.
who you appear to have everything like Robin Williams,
Yeah.
who appear to
Oh
have
man,
everything
that
and
was
they
her
kill
piece.
themselves.
It's
It's
true.
because they don't there's a principle here.
Yeah.
You don't go into the business because you're trying to be liked. You go into knowing it's a job.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a job like any other job. It's a job. If you go into it with the idea that you're trying to be popular, it will break you
Wow.
because people will love you one minute, hate you the
Hit you the
next.
next.
It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really got to understand that if you go into the business, you go into the business. The old saying is, it's called the music business. If you're not doing business, you're only doing music, and you cannot survive if you're only doing music.
Right.
You've got to handle the business part. You got to go in there with the idea that you have something, a gift to offer, not going with the idea that people are going to love you, because people are going to don't do it. You got to love. Self-love comes
That's
first.
it, man. Self love. Wow, that's the truth.
Yep.
I just finally saw Clive Davis on Netflix. They have a special on
Yeah.
Clive Davis, and what
Yep.
you're just saying right now, I mean, throughout that whole thing. First of all, I didn't know that he was involved with so many careers,
Oh yeah.
from
Oh.
Janis
Woo.
Joplin all the way to Puff. I mean, all the way
Yeah.
through. Sound of
Mhm.
Philadelphia, I had no idea, but I
Oh
also
yeah.
saw the, because like when I'm younger, I was telling my wife, I said, "Honey, it's amazing what God kept me away from."
Right.
Because I was
Right.
shooting to get to the industry and blah 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 blah. We actually, when I was younger, we had a deal with Atlantic on the table. It was gonna give us
Mhm.
$100,000, and it fell through. But I just thank God, because I now seeing hindsight, I'm like,
Mm-mm.
I didn't want none of that. I wanted to be
You
like
were
you
ready
said.
for it.
I wasn't ready for that kind of stuff,
Oh
and
yeah.
all the compromise you gotta do, and your character, and all the hedonism stuff. It's just crazy, dude. It's just crazy. But
Yes. Yeah, man.
there's people right
Yeah.
now that are these young people. They are going through a lot of that right now. So I'm hoping to be able to empower people on this show in the music. And in entertainment, to be able to get knowledge, like, get
Yes.
some knowledge and listen, and make better decisions. And because back in the day we had A&R, right? You remember A&R,
Yeah.
artists and
Oh yeah.
repertoire. So
Oh yeah.
but even
Oh
then,
yeah.
they would their job was to mold you, but not necessarily give you financial skills, or what I mean. It was like there needs to be something, I believe, in place that really prepares the artist for what's really going to happen in the business side, and
Let me
let
tell
them
you
know
something.
from the gate.
What they can do now. Let me tell you where a real good trick is, and when they're doing it now.
Okay.
Here's what you do. You prepare yourself to be great before you ever even think about signing a deal. And how you do that is get yourself on YouTube. So you get yourself on YouTube. There are a lot of people that are building careers on YouTube. So basically they're marketing themselves. They go out and do concerts, and people show up, and they're not bound to a record label.
Ah.
They're not bound to a record. And what happens is, when you come in with your following, then you get to dictate the terms. See, because remember, power is what get the having. See, what they're doing is, if you go, and now a lot of people don't understand is, you get signed to a record deal, especially if you're just somebody that's a pop star. You come in there, and you're going to have to, anything that they put into you, they will take out of your salary.
That's true. Right.
Anything from limos to dressing, and they tell you how to dress. They tell you anything they pay for, you will be paying back. That's how if you listen to what happened to TLC,
Yep.
who was one of the biggest female recording group ever.
Absolutely, ever.
I said, came out broke.
That's right. Yep.
All right, and now listen to that story. That story tells you everything you need to know.
That's
but
right.
what you do is, if you believe enough in yourself, you build a following on YouTube. You can bring your stuff up, put your music up there, let them criticize you, build up, get your stuff better, keep going over, and get the stuff to a place where you start getting people to follow you and loving you. Then when you get enough following, you can dictate the terms to any record label. If you want a record deal, you might not even need one, because people are putting their stuff on iTunes themselves.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't have to be bound. That's the great thing with technology.
All they need is a SoundCloud account, and there you go. There's your distribution right there. Spotify and everything.
That's it.
Nah,
Yep. So you don't have to be bound by, and record labels, they understanding that now. So that's why they're getting on these social medias and all this stuff, because they know where people are hanging out. But you can create a career for yourself if you can promote yourself online that you could never do before.
True.
Because you got a worldwide audience now.
Worldwide audience. Everything's changed. My goodness, that's good.
Yep.
So did you have, when did you get that entrepreneur bug, and just tell us a little bit about your companies that you have right now?
Yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur. It's I didn't realize what it was when I was young, but I've always had that thing that I need to do something for myself, and from producing music to all the way up to I've done a little bit of everything in entertainment. I have a company out here called Function 10 Media where
Okay.
we basically we produce anything that helps people market themselves, anywhere from, we shot commercials to online presence to, producing podcasts like this.
Yeah,
So we
sure. Yeah.
we do a little bit of everything. So my big thing is, a lot of times we don't talk. And you hear people say this a lot when they get their trophies and stuff about God.
Right.
But the reality is there's a difference between talking about God and living for
You better
God. And
say
so,
it. And on this
and
show, we,
so
we all about God. Just in case you're
yes.
tuning in, we all about God on this show.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You got to listen. God is teaching you, and you got to listen. And
That's
so
true.
a lot of things the thing I want to do, the reason why I do, and I have my podcast is Love and Sensibility, which
Nice.
is a relationship podcast. And the reason why I do this, the reason why I want to be honest, is because I want to help other people.
Mm,
I want to help other people get past certain learning curves, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to success,
yeah.
even when it comes like we were talking about just in media,
Yeah.
there are things that there are principles that God put in place for success.
That's
And
true.
if you walk outside of those things, it'll cause
It
chaos.
is.
And so you got to learn these things. So my thing is I want to help people understand. And I always say I want to help people get out of their own way, because the biggest issue that most people have is they're blocking themselves.
True.
It's not everybody else. It's them blocking themselves, and they don't realize it because they have these limiting thoughts, these limiting ideas, these things that prevent them, fears of failure, fears
Yep.
of things of not being good enough. And so my thing is mindset, trying to get people to change that mindset, understanding that there are things that you are meant for. God did not make us to be failures,
Nope.
because we were made in God's image. So if we're made in God's image, that should tell you there's something right there. That means if things are not working out, that means you're probably not close enough to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to think about that from a perspective. I don't care what you do, what direction you go to. If you're not filtering it through the lens of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
I said you're not going to succeed. And when I say succeed, I mean being at peace,
Being at
happiness.
peace.
You might make money,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to be happy.
Right.
You're not going to be at peace,
That's right.
and only that comes from God. So if you want to filter yourself through the world, you might be able to become rich, but you're not going to become happy.
Not at all.
And so that's the difference. Because there are a lot of people out there, like I said, who have money, love, entertainment, but they kill themselves. Why is that? Why is that? Because they have not found the peace that surpasses understanding.
That's right.
And that only comes from God.
It's one thing to be in media and entertainment and be with the world. The other side, yes, you want to be in arts and being an author and this and that nature. But there's another thing to when you have God. Like you said, I love how you said the lens that you push it through, the peace that you get when you go and have those meetings, the peace that you get when that contract is in front of you, the peace because you know that you're not just there as some young person or even an older person that's been out there for a while, finally got your break, and you're just trying to grab everything that you can grab. Not having God in your life, having God in life is going to give you that peace so you can move forward. And then the success has nothing to do with the money. That's the hardest
Nope.
part. The success has something
Yeah.
everything to do with who you become in that
That's
process
it.
of being in that part in that kind of industry. Because believe it or not, they say the industry is the devil. God's in the industry too.
Oh, absolutely.
They're both there.
I say the industry is not the devil.
Yeah.
It's like they say money's the devil.
It's right.
It's not money that's
not
the
it.
devil.
Absolutely.
It's the love of
It's
it.
the
If you
love.
put anything before God,
That's right.
it's going to be an idol.
That's it, man. Anything. Even
You know
that.
what I mean?
Even this thing.
Oh yeah.
Waking up
It
in the
just went off
morning.
on your show.
Exactly. So yeah, man, I tell you. So you also are an incredible father. Tell us about your incredible family, man.
Oh yeah, I got 4 beautiful children,
Nice.
from ages 5 all the way up to 12. I have 2 girls, older girls, and 2 boys
Nice.
younger.
Nice.
And yeah, they're beautiful kids. My love of my life. They're my kids, man.
Good,
They
man.
we adopted them just actually 6 years ago.
Oh wow, man! So
Yeah,
they
6 years ago.
they're young ones. They keep you busy. But how do you balance your life, your career, and your family?
It's interesting. That's a really good question. I try to teach people that too. What it is that where has given us blessings in our children.
Right.
And so when you realize that that's a gift from God, then you approach it differently.
Okay.
Now we've had
If you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, coach, author, speaker, consultant, and you want to start your own podcast to build your authority, build more know, like, and trust, connect with new clients, attract new leads, I'm excited to invite you to my free webinar, Podcasting with Power, where I'll share the exact strategy that I've perfected over the past decade to make podcasting simple and easy as 1, 2, 3. This webinar is designed to help you go from a podcast idea to help you to start your podcast without the stress of equipment and technical challenges. And you'll also learn how to share your story, engage with your audience, and attract your ideal client all through your own podcasting platform. Or go to podcastingwithpower.com and get registered, and we'll see you in our free webinar.
to learn that because, we're on the hustle still. We're trying to do more. We're trying to leave legacies for our kids. We're trying to do a lot of things, and so we have to stop, and what we try to do is incorporate kids in some of the things that we're doing. Like we're teaching our kids about business, about finance, about everything. When I teach them everything we do, I tell them, I said, this is to train you to be an adult. I'm training you. And so I need you to see what I'm doing so you understand how to understand what it means to be an adult and what you're going to have to go through, some of the things that you're going to have to deal with. And so I let them kind of see some of the stuff I'm doing. And then, we try to, we were lucky enough to work from home, so we could spend a lot of time at home. And now with COVID, many of us are at home anyway because our kids are not going to be in school. Yeah, so that gives, and we've learned a lot about our kids just from that because and we've grown closer to them because of the fact that we're around them all the time.
Sure.
They come out with me in the morning. I wake up every morning and I hike every morning, and my kids come with. So, we're out there, boom, 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 boom. Nice. And it's teaching them to have discipline, teaching them to have those things. So, the kids are going to mimic you. So the bottom line is you gotta show them what you want them to learn. Yeah. And so it's not just talking to them, it's showing them. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time just showing them and incorporating, because you can never get too busy. Because see, what it is, sometimes we feel like, and we've all been through, I've been through this, where you feel like you gotta hustle so hard because you're working for your kids. Sure. But see, if you're hustling so hard and you're not paying attention to your kids, you're not raising your kids.
That's true. I learned
and
that.
And so you got to stop for a minute, be okay with saying, I ain't got time right now. I need to spend time with my kids. God will bless that because God gave you that gift.
That's right.
You have to know that he gave you that gift. So he's going to bless you so that you can take care of that gift. Right. So you don't have to feel stressed out or worried about it. Just know that if you're doing what God told you to do, which is taking care of your children and raising them, he's going to make sure that everything else works out. So that's kind of how we balance it. It takes skill, it takes some maturity, and it takes some understanding, but you got to make it a point. You got to schedule your kids in.
Yeah. That's amazing. I don't think many people realize that. It's almost like you got to treat your family. It sounds a little crazy, but you treat your family like a business, only in the sense of making sure that you're scheduling the time. You know what I'm saying? And making that time and making sure that you're investing and things of that nature. So it's the same thing. It's not like, and I'm not a dog person, but it's almost like, I remember how back in the day when I would have, my mom and dad would buy me a dog. They would say, you have to take care of this because it's going to teach you the responsibility, And the dog back in the day for me was, you get a dog, you put him outside, you give him some food, put him on a newspaper, and let him roam, right? Not today. Not today. Woo! They got insurance, all kind of things for dogs. So you're gonna learn a whole lot more responsibility. But that's one thing. But when you're raising a family, that's a whole nother level, because I always just say, it's different when you're responsible to somebody. But when you're responsible for somebody, that's a whole different ball of wax. Because if you don't do what you do, it affects them directly. You know what I'm saying? So it's beautiful to have great family. It's beautiful to have, like you said, your wife, your children, and they give us so much energy back. Did it give you like a lot of energy as far as that as well?
Yeah, it does. And sometimes, it's energy coming at you, and you have to recognize that. You be like, sometimes that energy's coming at you, and you're busy. You're like, hey, and then you have to realize, okay, that's energy that you need to engage in. You know, you have to allow them, because part of that, you know, one of the reasons why I'm having them walk with me, because they can't get out the way they used to get
Yeah.
out. And my little ones are too young to be running around the streets, you know, out there playing by themselves. But they need to engage with you. You know, you can't just put your kids on paper and go potty.
No, you ain't doing that.
You know, your
You
kids
ain't
leave in
doing
the
that.
corner with a
Yeah,
bowl
your
of
whole
food.
house would be a
You know,
party. That's what's gonna happen. Your whole living room would be. That's the
yeah, you
truth.
know, and so you got, and then and when you know you're married, you know,
I know.
and you know you gotta you share that responsibility. You know,
Yeah.
I got my wife, and some, like my wife, you know, she's working a lot of times. She's on the phone working because she does a lot of
Sure.
consulting, and so in the finance area, and
Yeah.
so she's busy, and I got to keep the kids down here, away
Down
from her, and
here.
make sure that
Sure.
she's not. And right now, she's doing the same thing for me while I'm here.
Yeah.
The kids are doing something. They know to be quiet. And
Uh-huh.
luckily, I have daughters that are a little bit older, that
Mm-hmm.
they know how to wrangle my younger son. So they, you know, like, "Shh, be quiet, daddy's on the thing," and blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we working as a unit. We all, you know, I teach my kids my girls, teach them responsibility. Like, one of the things I'm gonna tell you guys, if you're raising kids, and boys too, if you're raising kids,
Yep.
make sure they know how to wash clothes. Make sure they know how to cook. Make sure they know
Talk
how to
to them.
clean. Do not leave that stuff up for chance. Make
Nope.
sure that, this goes for the boys
Boys
too. Make
too.
sure they know how to do. Make sure they know how to cook. I mean, there's so many kids growing up now. They don't know how to cook for themselves.
Man,
They don't know how
that's
to clean a house. They don't know how to wash their own clothes. I
no.
mean, my kids learn this. They fold clothes and wash it. My daughter, I teach her. Sometimes she cooks dinner for us maybe once a week. You know,
Wow,
I
that's
have
pretty
her. I taught
cool.
her some stuff because I want
Nice.
her to be able to do these things. And this is just part of being a good parent, teaching your kids. My daughter is going to make a great wife, and
Mm-hmm.
she'll need these skills. And I'm not saying that a woman should stay home and cook. I'm
Right.
saying she should know how to
Yeah,
cook.
she
You
should
know,
know how to
you know.
cook. Exactly. That's the truth, man. A lot of these kids today, you ask them to do anything, they like, what? I got somebody else to do that, and particularly for the boys, because mamas baby their boys. But even more recent, the last 10, 20 years with my family and my kids, I've been seeing like they're the mama with the boys. But I made sure, like I'm like you, I made sure them boys. My mom taught me. You make sure you learn how to do these things, so you don't need a woman to do them for you. That's what she
That's
taught
right.
me. That's what she taught me, right?
Right.
But
Right.
if you do have a woman, at least y'all can share the responsibility. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? At least you both have the same
Absolutely.
kind of skills. So that's the key. Now I want to stop there because what people don't know is that you have this website and this podcast, Love and Sensibility.
Mm.
It talks about relationships, and you're very passionate about relationships. So I want to hear how you came up with that and why are you so passionate about relationships?
You know, it's funny, and it's a good question about that. I have to ask myself what that is. You know, I grew up, and probably because originally I grew up with broken relationships with my parents,
Got it.
and my mom's been married since then and has been married a long time, but she went through two other marriages before that.
Okay.
So I grew up with a lot of broken, and around me I see a lot of broken relationships. And I told myself one of the things I had to go through is that I don't want to be a man that is responsible for breaking up a relationship, meaning that I don't want to be. I want to make sure I understand what it takes on my side to be a good man in a relationship. And I had to go through my paces myself. Luckily I've only been married one time. I've been
Okay.
married for 22 years,
Oh,
but I went through a
congratulations,
lot
man.
of dating relationship. Oh yeah, just
Woo!
coming up real
Nice.
quick.
Nice.
Um, and I dated a lot, went through a lot of crazy. See, I was that kind of guy that was always trying to. I thought in the beginning, I'm gonna just give you this lesson. I thought in the beginning that all I had to do is just be the good man and everything would work out. But what happens a lot of times, I'm the good man, but I'm still with a broken woman. And
Mm.
so, and I tell people this all the time. One of my sayings is, we all can, we all have baggage, but be careful of the bag with the broken handle,
Woo.
because you can't help carry that.
Mm,
And
mm,
so
mm.
I'm passionate because I see what it does to people. I see women that are broken.
Yeah.
I see that, they're because people want to be loved and they settle for things and it turns out to be worse. And I'm like, so I want to teach. My passion is I want to see everybody get in a love, fulfilling love relationship, because being married is the second most important thing you do besides following God, because when you get married, that when you're with somebody, that is your life, that is your home, that is your, everything that stems from there is going to be wrapped around that relationship, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you're gonna spend your life with somebody.
Yeah.
So if you don't make that work, it's going to rock your world.
Yeah.
And so, but it starts with making the right choices. It starts with understanding, and that's where people make the mistake. They choose people for the wrong reasons to fulfill a void. And I always, and one of the things I also tell people is that it's not people. They always have this saying like two halves come together make a whole. Not in relationships.
No, no,
Two
no.
wholes have to come together.
Come
You
on.
have to be two whole people before you can come together.
That's
I
right.
said because sometimes it's going to be that moment where one person is going to be down and you got to fill them up, and vice versa. You're going to be doing this all the time. Sometimes you got to carry your partner
That's
because
right.
they're going through something. You got to be that one that can pull them up.
That's
And
right.
if you're half full, you have nothing to give.
Mm, mm, mm.
You have nothing to give.
That's
So
the truth.
you have to. But I'm passionate because I really care about people, and I know I can help them. I know I can help them, and it's just a matter of getting that mind shift of understanding of why you're looking for who you're looking for, and understand what you need to be looking for instead of what you thought you should be looking for.
That's right.
It's just and people and I say this 50%, it's a little under 50% of most marriages fail. Ask yourself why. Because most people, if you have 50% of marriages failing, that means 50% of people or more have only seen failed marriages.
True.
So
That's
they view that from the lens of broken marriage. So how do you learn how to love if you only watch broken marriages? See, people think they just wake up one day and you know how to love. No, there are things you have to learn. Most people don't even know what love is. And so we talk about that on my show. We talk about what love truly is. We talk about, not settling for things and understanding the difference between, whether you're working through hurt or you really truly understand what's in front of you. Because a lot of times we won't see what's good in front of us because of past hurts.
right.
Sometimes, so that we have to work on that too. But a lot of times, and matter of fact, that's what a lot of people are coming from. They're coming from hurts, and they make decisions out of pain and hurt and out of fear instead of out of the anointing that God has put on our heart for what's right. And so when we can shift people's mind and get them to understand what to really look for in a relationship, then your relationship is going to be starting off on the right foot. And then you just work on the tools to keep that relationship healthy.
That's it, man. So the name of your podcast, tell us about the name of the podcast, how people can check it out.
Oh, Love and Sensibility.
Love and
Love and Sensibility. I came up
Sensibility.
with that
Y'all check
name.
that out.
Yeah, check it out. I came up with the name years ago. It's just something that just popped in my head when I'm going to be doing a lot of different series called the Sensibility series. And
Ooh.
Love and Sensibility is just one of the things that I'm working on. But it was my passion project.
Yeah.
So because it's something I want to do, but I'm also going to be working on other projects, sensibility projects that go in different areas. From law to finance to
Wow.
health and all those things. So that's my long-term goals with that. But right
Nice.
now, Love and Sensibility is my baby.
Nice. So what if you have someone who's like matches right up with what you just said, and that they're having struggles right now, or someone who doesn't know their purpose or low self-esteem, or what kind of advice would you give them, and kind of guidance would you give them as far as being able to get to the
Well,
next step?
well, first of all, we have to deal with the problem. Like, what is it that's causing this low self-esteem? Because if they don't understand what it is, and you got to you got to peel back some layers like onions sometimes.
Okay.
So you got to understand because you can't move forward until you understand what's holding you back. And so a lot of that we'll sit down and just talk about, and we've talked about before about what the thing called the 7 layers deep.
Oh yeah,
And
I
so
remember that. You
a
told
lot
me
of time
that.
we'll go through these questions
Sure.
to kind of find out their deep rooted why. So in other words, in a relationship, I'm going to find out, why are they thinking about what are they looking for? And then why are they looking for that? And let's see if that why is rooted in something positive.
Something positive.
And then so once we understand what that why is rooted in something positive, then we can move forward. But we want to make sure that the why, you'll find people say, I just want somebody to love me.
Okay.
All right. And because they didn't feel love. Okay. We got to get that rooted out, because it's not about just having somebody to love you. See, you can't just think about getting love. You got to be able to give love. You got to understand what it means to give love. This is a win-win for both of you. It's not a one-way street. I'm looking for this. I tell people all the things you're looking for. Let me ask you a question. Do you line up with those very things that you're looking for? You got to know what you're. A lot of times these women have checklists. I want a guy like this. I want a guy like that. I want a guy like that. And then so the first question I asked her, I said, how many of those things on your checklist are in you? It's like,
right?
yeah, it's like you. I said, so what you're telling me is you. Sure. So what do you come bringing to the table? You want all of this. Since when is it that it's a give? It's a take. Right. It's got to be a give. But the reality is that you got to know how to give. Yeah. And so I'll give them tools to teach them. What's holding you back. Let's talk about what you really are looking for. And a lot of times we need to do. It's about teaching them how to love themselves first. Yeah. And so, because you can't truly love anybody else until you love yourself. And so really we try to get down to the root of where they skipped a step. A lot of times we go through life and we'll skip a step and then we cover it up and trying to deal with it, and we don't really deal with the problem. So I teach them how to deal with those problems, and we roll back the clock a little bit. Let's talk about how you grew up. Let's talk about your family. Yeah. Let's talk about your relationship with your father. Let's talk about the relationship with your mother. Yes. Let's talk about where these belief systems come from. And then once we understand what those belief systems come from, then we can move forward and say, okay, let's revamp the thought process so that you can learn to truly appreciate a good relationship.
Absolutely. Hey, guys, I am just blown away. I hope you guys are really getting a lot of this. Efton is dropping a whole lot of good stuff. Efton, I appreciate you, man, coming on the show, man. I'm looking forward to being able to have you come back, bro. You got to come back because we can talk all day. You already know that.
Anytime.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. I got my man Efton here. He's a podcast. It's called Love and Sensibility. He's also a fellow producer. He's also a fellow father, incredible husband, and I'm telling you, it's just a great friend of mine. This is an honor to be able to kind of have you come on the show. And we talk music, we talk media, we talk family, and we talk God, and that's what it's about. That is the number one thing. So I hope you guys have been encouraged on tonight on this particular episode. I appreciate you, Efton, and I listen. God bless you, man. I'll talk to you soon. You guys are tuning to Studeio22Live.tv. Efton, me a favor. I want you to say. I'm gonna see if I can do the tongue twister. I'm getting tongue twister right now. I need you to say this. You are watching Studeio22Live.tv.
All right. You're watching Studio.
I got everybody. I got it too.
Studio 22 Live, right?
Yeah, that's it. How about that? You're watching Studeio22Live.tv. Here we go.
Hey, you're watching Studeio22Live.tv.
There you go. He got it. See, I got Thelma from Good Times. I got her really good with that one. She was like, what? And Otis Williams from Temptations. Say it again.
Yeah, you be a little slow.
Yeah. I appreciate you, man. I talk to you.
If you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, coach, author, speaker, consultant, and you want to start your own podcast to build your authority, build more know, like, and trust, connect with new clients, attract new leads, I'm excited to invite you to my free webinar, Podcasting with Power, where I'll share the exact strategy that I've perfected over the past decade to make podcasting simple and easy as 1, 2, 3. This webinar is designed to help you go from a podcast idea to help you to start your podcast without the stress of equipment and technical challenges. And you'll also learn how to share your story, engage with your audience, and attract your ideal client all through your own podcasting platform. Or go to podcastingwithpower.com and get registered, and we'll see you in our free webinar.
I am Bernadette Stannis.
I'm Bishop Hezekiah Walker.
What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Latoya Luckett.
This is Otis Williams of the Temptations.
Darren DeWitt Henson, and I'm your man, Hal.
And you are checking out Studio 22 Live TV.
Studeio22Live.tv.
Studio 22 Live.
Studio 22 Live.
Studio 22 Live.tv.
Studio 22 Live.tv.
I don't watch that shit.
Studio 22